Fox Football Live starts now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back for another season 2 to be exact, of Fox Football Live. I'm Tim O'Brien. I'd like to bring in my partner this season, Casey Buscher, who stands by in Abilene. Casey, before we get going here and talking about, we didn't necessarily think we'd be here this season with everything that was going on at the end of the spring into the summer. But first, let's go ahead and send some prayers and well wishes to Abilene head coach Mike Fullen.
Absolutely. When I first heard the news from AISD that he was diagnosed with colon cancer, I really couldn't believe it. Who he has been to the Abilene community and to Abilene High is so much. And to not see him on the field at the beginning of the season is going to be tough, but he made it very clear, I'm going to be back on the field as soon as I get better, as soon as I recover. So I wish him well and a safe recovery through this process, and I hope he comes out better on the other side and I see him on the field soon.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to that tough West Texas mindset, right? He'll have a safe surgery and recovery, and he'll be back in no time. And Abilene High is in good hands for sure, and he made that statement earlier this week. Let's get into 5A and 6A. They're going to start about a month from now, but you were earlier this week were at the AISD meeting about 5A and 6A and some of the changes and protocols that are going to take place this season. Let's touch on that just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of changes that are going to be made this year to promote a safe environment, just talking about Shotwell Stadium where the Eagles play and Cooper plays, you got to wear masks. You got to have a screening process before you enter the doors. This is a stadium that holds over 15,000 fans, but this year will just be limited to 5,100 fans that will have to be spaced throughout the stadium. So it's going to be pretty strict, and to wear a mask for that long watching football in this heat is going to be difficult, but I'll be right there with you for whoever comes into the stadium. Media has to wear masks, and they're no longer able to go behind the benches. So we're all going through changes, but at the end of the day, Tim, I think we just have to be thankful that we're having Texas football out here in West Texas for the fall.
Yeah, I had made mention just moments ago that I didn't think we were going to be here. I know we had to be proactive, prepare for this season to happen in the event that it did, and knock on wood, it is still, and it will. But we've been wearing masks for the better part of 3 or 4 months now, so it's not that big a deal. We can do it. It's going to be just fine, you know, and it's clear that the mask does work. So I think leading into the sidelines, you know, you'll be out on location each Friday night at the game of the week in the Big Country or here in the Concho Valley as the schedules go on. But it's nothing that we can't handle, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It won't be bad just to get back out there and to be under the Friday night lights in a time where communities in West Texas really need some football. It will be worth it. Yeah, and for sure. And we will get kind of go throughout the season this year. We're going to have certain changes that we'll highlight each week here on Fox Football Live. 5A and 6A starting in just about a month. But what our Casey Buscher was able to do over the course of the last few weeks was take some 1A and 4A teams, travel around the Big Country in the Concho Valley, and highlight those teams. And that's where we'll start now with the Holly Bearcats, Casey. They're coming off an historic 13-1 season with high expectations heading into that heavy District 3 2A. They shocked a lot of people last season. The Holly Bearcats going undefeated in the regular season, making a run in the playoffs under head coach Mitch Abels. But no surprise, they should be able to do that again with the people that they have coming back. They actually are ranked number 7 in the preseason rankings for Dave Campbell Texas football, but they have their quarterback coming back in Xavier Rodella, and he is joined by Coulter Wilford and Bo Thompson on the offensive line. So their offense is going to be a dominant one once again this season. But Coach told me that the biggest key this year for the team is just staying positive in the midst of everything that's going on and all of the uncertainty.
Definitely stay positive. You know, I feel like if I'm negative or if I'm down, the kids will feed off of that. So I just try to be as positive, and our coaches try to be as positive as we can be. And you know, I'm hoping that soon this will all be behind us and we'll be playing football and having fun and you know, just moving on from there. Still trying to fill out the defense to see what's the best place to put them and the best defensive lineup that we can put out there. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a process. Might sputter at first, but I think once we get into district play, we'll be hitting on all cylinders.
I want to know if Coach has ever been told how identical he looks to Jim Harbaugh. But Casey, 13-1 is for sure a tough feat to duplicate again. One loss coming in the playoffs is tough. But from one Bearcat squad to the next, you had a chance to catch up with Coach Lipsey and company in Ballinger, and they're expected to finish the top of their division, and it's a team in town that has faced adversity in years past. This is a challenge, though, that head coach Chuck Lipsey and his team are definitely up for.
Well, the biggest thing that Coach is excited about this season is the experience coming back. 9 out of the 14 seniors on the team this season have been starters on the varsity since their sophomore year. That's crazy and something that Coach is very excited about, especially with quarterback Tyler Vaughn coming back. He actually went through shoulder surgery in the spring on his non-throwing arm, but Coach said he is back and ready to get to work for his senior season. And he's also joined by Weston Rolwitz in the lead receiver position. So that duo is going to be one that you're going to want to watch for this season. But Coach told me that the biggest thing is having a tough preseason schedule. So they will play Jim Ned on August 28th. So that will be a big test for them. But Coach, overall, excited about the chemistry and the experience coming back.
I would think our biggest strength, a lot of teams being successful, is the chemistry, the makeup of the people that make that team. And I would definitely give us a high rate on that part. Blessed to have a bunch of good kids. They're all really leaders. I think it's going to be an overall team effort, and they're all going to lead by example. They all care about each other. They love being around one another, and I think that's going to help us in the end. I think it's very important to take one game at a time. Learn from your mistakes and improve on those. Take one game at a time. We want to win. We would like to win all of our preseason games. We want to be district champs. Once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen, and we want to win as many of those playoff games as we can possibly win and see where it takes us at the end. We want to play as many Friday nights as we can possibly play this year.
Amen to that. Most coaches and teams will say the same. And the Ballinger Bearcats, of course, what a cool stadium, Casey. There's not a lot of room for some sideline play. So I know that was your first game that you covered last year and how quickly things have evolved. But Ballinger Bearcats, of course, predicted to win atop of that district, and they can definitely do so. It's a fun West Texas community, and they do all the little things right. And you had mentioned that they're going to face off against Jim Ned this year. And could it be the year that Jim Ned knocks off the Wall Hawks out of that top spot in District 3A? What do you think?
It could be. It could be. I mean, just how good is that district, right? Wall, Eastland, Jim Ned. I mean, there's so much fun to watch. The competition is tough every year. They have great kids coming out of that district as well. But I caught up with head coach Matt Fanning to talk about where they're at heading into this season. The biggest storyline is the quarterback position, with Tate Yardley filling in that starting role as a junior. So he played for Jim Ned on junior varsity and in middle school and never lost a game. So Coach is probably hoping that streak can stay alive at the varsity level, but he will be joined by Xavier Wishart, obviously a stud. He ran for over 800 yards last season, had 6 touchdowns. So Coach is ready for this year, but especially because he believes that the Jim Ned community and the West Texas communities really need football in their lives in this uncertain time.
We need something to be positive about. With everything going on in the world, there's just so much innate negativity from a day-to-day basis. And I think it's even gotten into our little small community here. Our ability to come back and go to school and have our kids in school and to play sports and do band and all the things that kids are supposed to be doing, I think that's just a positive thing that our society really needs right now. We need something to cling on to that's positive, and we need to be able to get back into that mindset of what's good in the world.
Coach Fanning, one of the most intimidating people in West Texas. I don't think he'd mind me saying that. He's all business, as kind as could be, but when those Friday night lights shine, he's there to do one thing, and that's to win. Jim Ned going to, of course, compete yet again in District 3A. Plenty more Fox Football Live coming up. We're just getting started. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Fox Football Live. Again, our preview show this evening, touring around all of West Texas. 5A and 6A still about a month out, but we're going to continue with our teams of 1A through 4A across the Big Country and the Concho Valley. Up next, we have the Haskell Indians, who look to compete and get off to a much better start this year than last. Hey, Casey.
Well, the Haskell Indians is led by Brian Hodnett. He is the head coach there, and I love his energy and what he brings to this team. And something that a lot of coaches got more time with over the last few months is spending time with family. So for head coach Brian Hodnett, he got to spend time with his 4 young boys and his wife during the COVID-19 pandemic, being home and quarantining. So he's ready to get back to work now that they are back on the field. So what is their motto? Their motto is make it happen. And that's what Coach brought to this team about 4 years ago when he took over as head coach. Make it happen. He said he wants guys who come on the field, make plays happen, and don't just sit around and wait for their teammates to go after it, but guys who are productive and go-getters on the field is the biggest motto in Haskell.
They're just having fun. I mean, we come off the practice field. We've been out there 3 hours. It's hot, and they crank the music, and they're in there dancing and laughing and having fun. And, you know, the coaches, we just kind of looked at each other and smiled because that's what it's all about. I mean, I hope we win a bunch of ball games, you know, in the process. But they're having fun, and they're so glad to get back together. It's refreshing for us as a staff.
The motto for the Indians this season is make it happen.
And so we kind of talk about there's 2 types of football players in this world, and there's guys that make things happen, and then there's guys that just kind of sit back and let things happen. And we want guys that make things happen on the field, in the weight room, you know, in the classroom.
Coach believes that because of the uncertainty over the last few months, that this season will be even more special.
In Haskell sports are a social event, and it brings people together. And we need something to bring us together more now than ever, in my opinion. And high school sports are the purest form of the sport. To me, these kids aren't on scholarship. They're not out here getting paid. They play because they love the game and they love their teammates, and they want to represent their school. And so I just think it's something that brings us together.
I think Coach Hodnett brings up a great point. High school sports are the purest form of the sport. These student athletes aren't on scholarship. They're not getting paid to play. It's the true grit and passion that brings them out onto the field every single day to perform at the highest level on Friday nights. And Casey Buscher, from one small town to the next, you were able to head to the jungle in Anson and had a chance to catch up with their coach, Chris Hagler. What did he have to say?
Well, the atmosphere in Anson is one that you have to experience. I went to the scrimmage, Anson against Ballinger, on Thursday, and just seeing the community come out and be together again was really nice to see. And head coach Chris Hagler told me that the biggest change on the team this season is going to be the quarterback position. His son, Drew Hagler, was the starter for the last 3 years, and now he is off playing football at West Texas A&M. So his backup from the last few years, Isaac Brown, will now be the new starting QB in Anson. So there are challenges that come with having a new QB as your now new leader on the roster, but Coach has confidence that Isaac will bring his A game every single day and lead this team to hopefully a deep playoff run. But for Anson, their biggest skills this season is going to be their speed, quickness, and skill.
Skill guys, we're still pretty quick in some places. Got a little speed, which allows us to go over the top of some defenses, maybe on offense. On defense just as well, we're going to be pretty good up front, on the front line of defense. And we've got some quick guys behind them, but one of our weaknesses is our depth. We just don't have much depth unless we dip into the youth of our program. Getting back to some sense of normality is huge for not only the kids, but for the school, for the community.
Welcome back, everyone, to Fox Football Live. Now, to me, you have some home field advantage, but based off colors and uniforms and fans in the stands, I think that can be intimidating. And so far, that goes on with the Bulldog as a mascot. And I think a Bulldog, to me, emulates that hard-nosed grit that West Texas represents, that we bring up time and time again. And that could make a difference alone just out on the field. You had a chance to visit with Stanford as well earlier this week, Casey.
I caught up with head coach Ronnie Casey, and one of the biggest things that we talked about that really stood out to me is the heat this summer. And obviously, it's always hot in Texas. I grew up in Texas. It is what it is. It's hot here. but this summer felt a little bit hotter. And so Coach told me that they're taking extra precautions with hydration and watering down the fields throughout the day to make it a little bit cooler for the student athletes. So I think that's very important, and we see dehydration happen all the time when it comes to football. So staying safe is the biggest key. But talking about who's coming back, Coach told me he's very excited about who's coming back, starting with the quarterback in Zon Holden. Coach said that he's great at running RPOs. He can throw the ball, run the ball, and overall he's just a very intelligent QB that Coach Casey is excited to have as the leader on this team. And then the running back will be Brennan Day. Coach says that he is the hardest worker on the team, whether it's in the classroom, on the field, in the weight room. He is constantly giving his biggest effort. And so the biggest keys for Anson this season is going to be their offensive presence and their offensive line. And then their quickness is going to be big as well. They're not that big, but they're small and they're quick.
The biggest part about it and what we tell the kids is we're going to be persistent in what we do. And we're going to approach every day just like it is. It's a gift. And we're going to use that gift to the best of our abilities and take care of business. And if they come in and they shut us down, then I apologize for you guys working your tails off and us getting where we're at. But right now, you know, in the state of Texas, football is a big deal. And so we're going to take it one day at a time and keep pressing on. Goals have been more impressive this year. And I don't know if it's the quarterback or if the kids are used to it, but we don't have to stop and explain what we're looking for all the time. We can keep moving at a faster pace, try to get out of that heat, beat the heat kind of, you know, so to speak. And I mean, gosh, that sucker's hot out here yesterday. So that's what we're trying to do.
Coach Casey for sure wrapping it up there, saying that Texas football in this state, it's a big deal. Next after the break, we're going to break down where our Casey Buscher and Fox Football Live will be headed for week 0. It's the main event. We'll wrap it up on the other side of the break. Welcome back to Fox Football Live. Down to our final 2 teams we'll preview this evening, and it's actually where we'll be headed next Friday night. 1 week from today, the powerhouse in West Texas picked once again to finish #1 in their district. The Eastland Mavericks and their head coach and quarterback, they're going to get it done. Just so happens to be a father-son duo, Casey, and I know you have some close ties where that quarterback's headed after his high school career is done.
Oh, I am pumped. I am pumped to see these Eastland Mavericks this season for Baron Morton's final season as QB under his father, James Morton. It's going to be a good one. I'm so excited to see this Eastland Mavericks team this season. It's quarterback Baron Morton's final season before he heads off to Texas Tech to be a quarterback in Lubbock. So that duo is one you're going to want to see with James Morton and Baron Morton for their last year in Eastland. Baron had over 2,700 yards in passing, 29 passing touchdowns, and 9 rushing. So offense is not going to be a problem for Eastland. I'm excited to see what they do this season. It will be a big test with them coming up against Wall for the first game of the season.
The other half of that matchup that we're going to head will be in Eastland next week. That is no surprise. And they're going to face off against the Wall Hawks. Of course, the Wall Hawks coming off an unbelievable season, although faced adversity down the stretch when junior quarterback Drew Morrison had to fill in. He is ready, another season under his belt as a senior, to lead the Wall Hawks yet again.
We're probably as mature as we've been and seasoned as we've been in 6 or 7 years. We're really, right now, I think our kids are looking way better than we have at any point in time at 3 days in.
The biggest storyline of the Wall Hawks this past season is Drew Morrison, who stepped up in week 7 in the quarterback position, taking on the playmaker role in addition to playing linebacker.
You learn a lot about Drew, how he's going to handle situations, and he did a fantastic job. We hate to put that kind of pressure on him again, but we're going to. He is going to be our quarterback and middle linebacker.
But getting those last few games in as a junior, I think really is going to help my confidence going into this next.
One, we learned how great a leader Drew was. Drew's a very quiet kid. He's not real vocal. He does a lot of leading by example, but it's amazing how much our kids look up to him. It's that kind of kid you want your kids to follow.
And throughout the offseason, the QB has put on strength.
We know over the break he put on about 10 to 15 more pounds. He's about 6'4", 205. That's a big quarterback running at you if you're a safety or a cornerback.
I've been more focusing on bulking up because I was always a taller, skinnier guy, so I had the height. I just needed to get some weight, so I was trying to bulk up and work out at the same time. I think that paid off.
With the entire O-line returning, the Wall offense is going to be strong.
Our offensive line is, right now, it's 5 seniors. They've all been very seasoned. They've all played, a lot of games last year.
We've all been doing this same offense since 7th grade. They all know it. They all know their plays. They've been doing really good, and I think that's really going to help us going into next season.
So there you have it, Casey Buscher. That's where you're headed next week. It'll be your Wall Hawks and Eastland Mavericks from Eastland. We're pumped for this. Right out of the gate, you lose one game in high school football, similar to college, it could mess up your whole season.
It definitely can, but this is tough. I don't even know who I would say is going to win this game just because of the experience level on both teams. I mean, the Wall Hawks, Tate Williams is headed to Baylor next season, so that offensive line is anchored by him. Drew Morrison coming off of a huge season, and you see how much confidence that Houston guy has in him. And then obviously Baron Morton leading the Eastland Mavericks again this season. It is going to be such a good battle between these two teams. I'm so ready for it.
Yeah, there you have it, of course. Casey Buscher, you and I all season long going to bring the ruckus for Fox West Texas and West Texas high school football. We're so excited to be back for season 2. It's going to be a lot of fun. And any final thoughts, words on where you think this season is headed this year, Casey? COVID-related and protocols, safe to say, as long as everybody wears a mask and stays safe, we're going to have football all season long.
As long as everyone stays safe and just makes the most of this opportunity and not take it for granted. Yes, we have football, but there's many states and cities that are not having football this fall or high school sports in general. So as long as we take it seriously, wear a mask, and just be safe, I think that we are in good hands. I'm just so excited for this season. I'll make sure to do my part, wear a mask, and be on the sidelines, and make sure you say hi if you ever see me or Tim around the games. We are so pumped for this season.
It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. And don't worry, we are still going to cover Central and San Angelo here in Lakeview and all 3 high schools in Abilene, but 5A and 6A is just going to have to wait a little bit longer. For Casey Buscher, I'm Tim O'Brien. Remember, see us every Friday night right here on Fox West Texas at 10:30 for Fox Football Live. Good night.